Okay, good morning guys. This is my 1971 Ford Maverick with an LS swap right over there. Right now it's just downed because Tranny decided to stop working on me. Turbo 350 stuff. Actually more a torque converter, but it's neither here nor there. So while it was down, I decided to do some fuel upgrades. This car's been running for about 6-7 months already. We actually got it ready for LS Fest, and since then I was basically dailying it every week to work and everywhere. But Tranny decided to go out right before it cooled down here in Arizona, so now I'm doing fuel system upgrades, waiting on parts. What we went from was a external fuel pump, Holley blue pump on the frame rail, and moved up to dual in-tank 255 Walbro style fuel pumps. Had to change the tank over to this RCI fuel hanger. Basically gives you the ability to put an in-tank EFI style pump in it. And instead of just putting one, I decided to put two. These are originally meant to be used as an inlet and outlet, which would be, send and return for fuel, but being that they're both -8 and I already have a return plumbed into the tank via this -6 line over here, I figured I'd use both of these as fuel outlets. And the other thing I did was to make it work, because these RCI fuel cells come with just a 2-wire pass-through for that little nylon cable gland. So I moved up to a 4-wire from a company called Major Electronics, but I mean you can get it from several places. And all I did was I drilled a hole a little bit bigger, put the bulkhead fitting through, and then it has like a little diaphragm that the wires pass through, but the hole was a little bit big for all the wires, so I just filled it with silicone to seal it. I decided to use push lock for everything in the trunk, mostly because it's not going to see any sunlight or really any abuse back here. And I have, it's all -8 coming out to a T back here, going to a single, going right to this bulkhead through the floor. Then from there I'm just going to run nylon like I have the -6 line all the way up to the carburetor. Being that it's carbureted, I'm regulating it down pretty significantly. Don't really need that much pressure, but I do need it to go up past a regular carbureted fuel pump, because I do plan on putting boost to it eventually. And then with that, the other fuel system upgrade is moving from a 100 micron pre-pump filter and a 30 micron post-pump filter that was underneath the intake, and moving to just a 10 micron -8 fuel filter, which this is a pretty significant upgrade compared to the other stuff, because this tiny 30 micron fuel filter got plugged up pretty fast and I didn't realize it. Never cleaned it, obviously, because I put it in a very inconvenient place to take it out. But it never really caused any issues, other than, probably not filtering very well. Carburetor didn't get too gummed up, but still, it's a very small filter for how much fuel I was running through there. And that's also kind of why I'm moving up in volume, mostly just to keep up with the carburetor once it's boosted. Moved up to a quick fuel 850 dual pumper. The thing powering this pump is a Leash Electronics 70 amp relay. It's actually a pretty trick little piece. Comes with the fuse on a panel. All you gotta do is feed it voltage and then have your accessory wire coming out. I'm using the old wire from the chassis mounted fuel pump to kick that on. And then I'm planning on using just weather packs for everything, just because I already have the tool for it and it works. I also kind of like this stuff because this trunk, the weather seal, she's not so good anymore, so helps out a lot. Try and keep everything tight, sealed. Other than that, I'm waiting to make the rest of the fuel line going up to the engine, because I gotta stab that back in there, put the carburetor on it, and then mock up that fuel line and reroute it onto the car, which isn't too crazy. The other thing I'm waiting on is kind of making a decision on whether or not I'm going to put a fuel shutoff in line. Kind of think I should have put it up here in the trunk before the bulkhead fitting, which I can just cut and splice it. But I'm also thinking it would be good to put under the car so that I can get to it externally and mess with the tank. I mean, being that it's all fed through the fuel hanger now, I don't have to worry about fuel gravity feeding out, but anything that's in the line can drain out, which wouldn't make that much of a mess. Honestly, I might just leave it out now. Might have made the decision on that. The other thing I moved up to was a -8 fuel log for the carburetor. This is actually a better unit than what I was running. I was running the old Speedway -6, their brand of fuel log, which worked perfectly fine. It's just the nylon braiding on the outside of the hose was sort of like the standard, like this stuff. And on this car, I don't have a hood. So when it's out in the sun like that directly, it gets pretty dusty and dirty, and you spill fuel on it, and it just doesn't get very clean. Doesn't stay very clean, I should say. Other than that, the move might be to go to E85 in the future, which is why the wall bros are in there. Just another decision for future planning here. And then eventually, if things get crazy enough, I might put nitrous on it. Mostly because a nitrous plate is pretty cheap for a carburetor, and then feeding it fuel wouldn't be that hard from teeing out of here. I think that's it for now. See you guys later.